Hey everybody, it's me here, Michael Franti on the Stay Human podcast. Man, we are super excited because we've got a new album that is coming out. It's called Work Hard and Be Nice. 17 songs, that's right, you heard it, 17 songs filled with optimism and stories about how we get through challenging times and still hold on to our humanity. We can't wait to get back out on the road with you guys, so stay tuned to all of my socials. You'll get the information first about when we're going to be touring next. In the meantime, enjoy all the songs on the album, Work Hard, Be Nice. You can Spotify it, you can stream it all over the place, you can download it on iTunes, you can even get the CD from michaelfranti.com. So check it out.
We are coming at you live and direct from Floyd Fest in Floyd, Virginia. And we have a very, very special guest that I'm thrilled to have today.
Thank you.
Keller, how many Floyd Fests have you got?
This is my third. Now this thing's been going on for a while, and I'm from
17 years.
I'm from Virginia, and I tried to get on this festival for at least 10 years straight. And,
wow.
Well, unsuccessful until 3 years ago.
What did you have to do? What was the final thing?
I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know how it happened.
Some backroom shenanigans.
I don't know. I don't know.
And here you are.
But whatever happened, I'm very grateful because this is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
What were your first impressions when you came out here?
First impression, we play a lot of festivals like yourself.
Yeah.
The first impression was this is Kidtopia.
Yeah, Kidtopia.
And there's so many kids, and there's such an amazing kid world over there.
Yeah.
There's the bedazzler, whatever it's called, the thing that goes all around, and the rock climbing thing. And then today we saw Jeff the Gypsy. If you think about it, he's this super ultra juggler performer. Hilarious street kind of vendor thing. It just kind of kicked up in the middle of the field, and we were just enthralled. My kids are 9 and 12 now.
Oh gosh, that's perfect festival age.
And this is their third. This is also their third time. And and the amazing thing is that they've just taken us under their wing and kind of brought us into their family and park us around other folks with the same age kids, and they're like going back and forth from motorhome to motorhome and watching movies and bunks and things. Meanwhile, the parents are out dancing.
Yeah. Parents are out taking drugs all night, and the kids are home just watching King Kong and Planet of the Apes.
No, not both parents.
So you grew up in Virginia?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so where about? Anywhere near Floyd?
Well, about solid 4 hours away, Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Oh, Fredericksburg, sure.
Yeah, just south of D.C., north of Richmond. Very historic, antique town,
Yeah.
And, moved to Charlottesville and then to Colorado, and then my wife and I and 2 dogs traveled for about 3 years and moved back to Fredericksburg in 2000. Been there ever since.
What was that like coming back to your hometown? Did you have any, were you excited to come back, or was it kind of weird going back? We're going back to the place that I left,
The thing with me is I married into some land.
Okay.
And so there's a nice 80 acres on the river.
Wow.
And it's close to town, so we were able to put that up for lease or put that up for lien and build a house, and so it's amazing.
It was perfect.
It's amazing, and both of our families are close by, and it's the right decision for sure. And it was a little bit strange coming back, but it's home, and it's so far away from any kind of music scene. I mean, there's definitely a little bit of a music scene in Fredericksburg, but there's not really any venues with backstages. There's a few stages, but nothing but we go to Richmond and we go to DC, and we get our culture that way.
And what was Fredericksburg like when you were a kid? How do you remember when you were your first memories of growing up there?
First memories of growing up. Well, it was Go-Go came out of DC. And Virginia is definitely very steeped in like a bluegrass tradition.
Yeah.
And so being close to DC and far south enough to be close to like, the rural areas, there's a lot of bluegrass and go-go. It's
That's
kind of
cool
what I noticed.
mix.
It's really it was interesting, and that's kind of what I remember most as far as like driving around or hearing people's the music coming out of the cars. And by the time I was able to like skateboard 14, 15, that would be my main source of transportation, and I would have these my Walkman with the cassette tape,
your mixtapes in there.
And
did you record stuff off the radio? And
I did later. I did later, but at this time it was like Circle Jerks, Dead Kennedys.
Okay, that's your now you're talking
Ramones, Sex Pistols.
My first record was on the Dead Kennedys record label on Alternative Tentacles.
Oh,
and
yeah?
Growing up in the Bay Area, we didn't have a lot of bluegrass in San Francisco, but it was hip hop and punk rock were my two. Well, we put out our first record with the Beatniks on Alternative Tentacles, and that was in 1987. And then Disposable Heroes, we actually got signed to Island Records, and it was funny because I was such a radical like DIY punk rocker at that time.
Yeah.
And somebody who worked for Island was like, "Look, can I just take your tape in there and see?" And I was like, "Yeah, they're never gonna like this, so go ahead, take the tape in." And they call me and they're like, "Yeah, we love the tape and we're thinking about signing you." And I tell my friend, I'm like, "I don't want to sign to like a major label." And so he was like, "Well, why don't you just ask them for like whatever you want? And then if they give it to you, then how could you not do it?"
So, that was the time, where people were buying records.
So I wrote out this like list of demands, like I want this much money, I want total creative control, I want this, like this whole list of like I literally wrote it out on a yellow piece of paper and I mailed it to him. And I get this call and they go, "I haven't even heard demo yet, but I just thought that your letter had so much balls that I want to sign you based on this letter."
Oh, damn. Nice. And that was Charlie Hunter, right?
Yeah, Charlie Hunter was in that group.
Yeah.
And then we had this song called Television, the Drug of the Nation, and it got picked up by U2, who was also on Island Records at the time, and they used our video to open their Zoo TV tour, and that was kind of how we got. Well, I'd been touring around
shorts
in a little
and combat
van.
boots, I think.
That's it. Yeah, that was it. So then, at what point did you start playing music? Was it always part of your household when you were a kid growing up?
Well, when I was 3, I got turned on to a show called Hee Haw.
Yeah,
I had
we had Hee Haw. Yeah,
my Floyd, Virginia people here know Hee Haw. But it's Roy Clark, Buck Owens, picking and grinning, and I was just little. I was a little kid. I was just like, that was so cool. The red, white, and blue guitar, probably now owned by Dave Grohl. I would imagine. Dave Grohl probably has that guitar.
Yeah.
Or
which guitar doesn't he have?
Maybe it's Ryan Adams.
Yeah, probably Ryan.
Maybe
Adams.
Ryan Adams has the Buck Owens guitar.
Buck Owens, a California kid from Bakersfield.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And he, so I would I got a guitar, like a little one from Nichols. I still have it. It's all broken up. But I would pretend to play, and it was easier for me to hold it with my right hand and just instead. I didn't have a strap. And like later, when I took lessons, it was like, oh God, this is so foreign. When I had to go to the right hand, I was hold it like this and just pretended, for years until my friend showed me some chords, and I started putting those chords together.
Yeah. And what age was that?
This was 14.
Okay.
And by 16, I was able to sit on a stool with a coat and tie and a country club and play covers for like 2 hours.
Wow. And
it was pretty awful. I mean, my sound system was two PV 412s. No horn, no nothing. Two PV 412s.
I'm pretty sure my punk rock band had that exact setup.
Yeah, and the head was like this church head. It was a 6-channel mixer with a 1/4-inch plug. And the volume was on the outside, and then on the inside button was the tone. Just total crap.
Yeah.
Total crap.
Do you want tone 1 through 10, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so after doing that gig, and then after doing like, temporary construction jobs where you go and you take a piece of cinder block and you throw it down, and you take a piece of ripped off cinder block and you scratch mortar out of the cracks.
Yeah.
In the middle of summer in Virginia, hard toe boots and hat,
Yeah.
and it's about $3.50, maybe $3.75 an hour.
Yeah.
And then I sit on a stool for 2 hours and make the same amount. That was when
You're like, okay,
that was 19. It was way back in 1986, kids. 1986. It was a good year. You'll never know.
So what was it like? I mean, apart from music, did you, as a teenager, what was it like for you growing up? Did you feel like the weirdest kid on the block because you played guitar, or was like that the super cool thing in your neighborhood?
No, I was more of like
were
the
you like?
annoying guy at the party with the guitar.
Okay.
Who, like, all the guys are like, that guy.
Yeah.
And
he's walking in, he's taking all our girls, he's got the guitar.
I wasn't taking them, but they were listening, and they weren't like really, the guys weren't
They weren't
digging
super
it.
thrilled about that.
But I was also a bit of a jock. I played football and in the fall, and tennis in the spring. And, And
what position did you play in football?
well, I went to a public city school.
Yeah.
And I was, I'm 137 pounds, and on the program, I made him say 150 pounds.
Yeah.
So I was like third string, defensive back.
Okay.
But I was on all the special teams, and my main claim to fame, Michael, was I was the holder for the extra points and the
Nice.
and the field goals, and every now and then when we were up by a whole bunch, I would go in. And one game, it was a homecoming game, I actually got an interception.
Woo!
But we did.
And were the scouts calling you?
They were
just
not.
sort of wanting to sign you up?
No.
It was like,
They were not calling. No, but my team did win states the 2 years I played varsity.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was amazing to be a part of.
What'd
that
you learn
team.
from football? What'd you learn from that?
I learned that I didn't want to continue that. That was the biggest thing I learned.
Okay.
It wasn't my
Scratch
bag.
and mortar out of bricks. You scratch that one up.
Wasn't my
Getting
bag.
your head bashed in repeatedly.
I
in
went
football,
there.
we take that off.
I did that. Yeah, it happened.
So it's
and-
kind of music is kind of a process of elimination for you.
Well, it was no, it was there. It was there. My first band was called Downhill Development. Did you? We were 16. Have you ever heard of a woman named Gaia Dagbalola? She was in a blues trio called Sapphire, the Uppity Blues Women.
Yeah,
they were on the
Don't know.
Alligator Records, and they there was a hot streak for them for a while. She was from my hometown.
Okay.
She worked with the smart kids at my high school, like the photography. Well, her son was named Juno Pitchford, and he was, 7th or 8th and 9th grade. I was in the marching band. Played trombone. It's like this is like
funky go-go
again.
time.
Again, the go-go. So there's roto toms.
Yeah.
And two bass drums. So it was like boom, 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 and then the little glockenspiels out of it. I was like gang, 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 ding, gang, ding, 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 gang, ding, 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 ding. And then there was like the cowbells, and then and everyone had to go.
Yeah.
Well, Juno
Trans-Europe Express.
Juno was
rocking.
in that band, and so he was the drummer, and my good friend Kirk Edwards.
Yeah.
He and I switched off on guitar and bass, and we recorded in Gay's living room and submitted it to the talent show.
Yeah.
And we got rejected.
And
this is the son of a woman, a prominent music industry woman that works at the school, and they got rejected.
Oh man!
And so I went back and submitted my own thing and did a solo thing. On that first guitar that I got from my mom at Nichols.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, it's Michael Franti here on the Stay Human podcast. A few years back, my wife Sarah and I decided that we would start a nonprofit with the intention of bringing people with advanced stages of life-threatening illness, children and adults with special needs, and wounded veterans to see any live concert by any artist in any city in the world. And from that, Do It for the Love was born. If you have a friend or family member who needs music in that way, just write to us at doitforthelove.org, and we'll make sure to get them out to see any concert in any city by any artist. Do it for the love, y'all.
Yeah.
And you got in.
And I got in and I won.
Wow.
I won it. It worked out. It
Nice.
worked out great.
So how did the other two guys feel?
They understood. They understood. They understood. And
Is that how you got into doing solo performing?
well, yeah. I would think it started as a solo when I was 16. There was definitely bands and stuff, but it was easier. And this is in the 80s.
Yeah.
We're talking about. It was very common for restaurants and bars to have a guy over in the corner that no one's really paying attention to.
Yeah.
And I made a living out of that for a long time.
Yeah.
It's every place, same place Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then try to work opening for jam bands or whatever on the weekends.
How did you start looping?
That was
And if you could, just because
sure.
people watching and listening might not even know what that means.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
What
so
is looping?
Looping is live phrase sampling.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is pre-recorded. What happens is you have in my case, I use a floor unit that's it's the Boss something 300, and it's got 3 channels, and so I can they're all linked together, so they're all on the same brain.
Yeah.
And you can step on the record button and play something or sing something.
Yep.
Step on the same button again, and it repeats what you just played.
Okay.
Then on another channel you can put a bass line, and then on another channel you can put a drum line, and then like a DJ you can take the bass out or take the drums out. And we definitely play with that. Zach Deputy, an amazing example.
Yeah, I saw him today.
Of
Incredible.
soul
Yeah.
and chops. Zach Deputy, everyone. Zach Deputy.
I like that. I love that he's taking it to a different place,
He-
doing his own thing and really bringing his own personality
If
to
I
it.
could have half of the soul and the chops that he has, I would be so much better. He is an amazing spirit,
Yeah.
and his talent is just way over the top. And the fact that he has so much soul and he feels so much and gives so much, and it's definitely reciprocated. Something like today with the rain coming down and people were just eating it up and loving it, and I was really, really happy for him.
So then when did you hit the road? Like, when did that start happening?
I guess there was the bars and the restaurants from like 92 till about 97.
Yeah.
And then 97, I was 95 and 97, I lived in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, and got hooked up with String Cheese Incident.
Yeah.
And Keith Mosley was like, "Hey man, when are you going to go on tour with us?" And I'm like, "Spring of '97." He was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And so I did, but
Nice.
they didn't tell anyone, and they had a whole bunch of other opening acts too. So they kind of worked me in like in between sets and stuff, like as a tweener, And so that's kind of when I got to like actually go on a tour and play places that have stages and PA's already in there, you know, where I used to have my little Ronco on a stick, you set up in the corner, and that went with me everywhere. And that's what I was used to.
awesome.
And it was probably the spring of '97 with String Cheese Incident that really, they're definitely a huge part of my career.
Yeah.
String Cheese.
Yeah, they're awesome. So you guys have any questions for Keller? Questions?
What was your inspiration?
Inspiration?
Yes.
Well,
What made you want to sing or be a musician?
I think the most easiest answer to that is to list off the inspirations of how I think I shaped my sound, and that would be obviously Grateful Dead,
Yes.
Bob Weir,
Yes.
Jerry Garcia,
Yeah.
Phil Lesh.
Oh my gosh.
Those three, with the abnormal bass line and the piano type of jazz rhythm line from Bob Weir, and then just the phrasing of Jerry. That was a huge inspiration. And right after that same time, as a young 17, 18-year-old of just this exuberant mind that's been tainted. I got Michael Hedges, who's not with us anymore, but he was a solo act from I think he's originally from Oklahoma, but lived in I think California, and he really opened my mind to how one person could demand the attention of an audience, and the way he tuned and played, it was different. It was alternate tunings, and his picking style was super funky. And the thing I got out of the most was the covers that he would play. He would make them his own, but stay true to that cover. And then of course there's Victor Wooten and Bobby McFerrin, and then you add all those guys in together, and then that's my drive.
Any other questions?
So I have a continuation on that same question. I think that you are a wonderful musician, but I think anybody's voice is their most powerful instrument. So who inspires, who do you want to emulate when you sing? Who inspires you to sing?
Wow, that's a great question.
I remember you used to roll with Michael Jackson a lot back in the day. You used to be hanging out with him, and that's also where you got your dance moves from. And
we're like that. We're tight. We were tight. Martin Sexton comes to mind when I think about singers, and people that I admire, and the solo act, the camaraderie of that world of performing by yourself. Martin Sexton definitely comes to mind. I'm not trying to emulate really anyone, but
was it hard for you to find your voice as a musician, having been playing covers for so long, or was it like a natural thing, I found my thing through playing covers?
I think maybe that's how it came, and also life experiences. Like I was really into the Grateful Dead from age 17 until 25 when Jerry died, and during that time I was definitely part of that traveling family, and would work for 2 months and save up all my money and go to 10 shows and spend it all, and then come back and find another job. And I did that a couple times a year, and like Jerry would say, in Europe, the kids can ride the rails, can ride the trains, but in America can't really do that. And that time when I was a teenager, you could be a part of this traveling weird, utopia then. And so I learned so much from that experience, and put it into my own travel of thrifty ways to save, from Dead Tour. And once I got to just, by 93, I guess, I started doing a lot more shows and going to a lot less Grateful Dead shows.
Yeah.
And by 95, it was just the two that I was able to go to, which was in Deer Creek, in Noblesville, Indiana, which the second one got canceled because the first one, 10,000 people jumped the fence.
Wow. And you were one of them.
I was not. No, I had tickets. No, I had tickets.
Good.
I got my tickets mail order, Michael.
Wow.
I was legit.
Remember when we used to get up or stay up all night and camp out just to wait for the ticket booth to open? You'd literally be out in the rain in a tent. And now it's like you're sitting in front of your computer. Okay, 12:01, boom.
Yeah. In college, the ticket place was in a mall. And so you had to wait for the mall to open. Then once the mall opened, you had to run.
Sprint.
Because the mall would open 3 hours before the stores for the walkers.
Yeah.
People like to walk in the mall in the morning. And so then you'd go and you'd get in line, by the record store in the mall with all these walkers going by looking at you,
Wow. So I got 2 questions for you before we wrap it up. The first one is, what's your mission? Why do you make music? What is it? What do you hope to bring to people? What's your mission behind it?
Okay, first and foremost, my career is a relentless pursuit of entertaining myself.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine how I could entertain anyone if I'm not entertaining myself.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, I take care of number one.
Yeah.
Secondly, I want people to forget the tweets and the reality of the world, because it's going to be there when the show is over. But during my show, I'm hoping to kind of bring people out of that and maybe into a little more positive visual, whereas I I've always considered myself a music lover first, musician second, songwriter third. So where I'm like a audience member on stage, and everyone in the audience is kind of in on the joke.
Yeah.
And by being in on the joke, hopefully they're not thinking about the issues that's crushing the world's positiveness.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm hoping to deliver is entertainment and escape.
Nice.
For 90 minutes if they let me play for that long, which here they don't.
So yeah.
Oh, thank you.
And I feel that when we, when I mean we as a collective whole,
absolutely. You're
you're
the king. You're the king of that.
Yeah,
You are all about that. You encompass that, and what you do is an amazing thing. Michael Franti.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much.
So the second question I have is the same question that I ask everybody who comes on this podcast, which is, in this world that is so trying to suck the humanity out of us, everybody's got a name attached to their number. There's a name next to your bank account, and that gives you a certain status, and there's a you have a social security number and all these things. Like, how do you hold on to your humanity in this world that is trying to take it apart? How do you stay human?
You guys make us stay human. Yeah.
Thank you.
Living
Nice.
music festivals,
I-
listening to great music is amazing and makes us live. Like,
Nice.
I look forward to it all the time.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
amazing.
I like you. I like you.
Yeah, I
I
love
like her.
her energy. Awesome.
I try to stay away from the norm and stay, able to function in society, but yet have that inner weirdness that comes out.
Yeah.
And the older I get, the more I learn where the proper times are for that inner weirdness
Did
to
it take
come
you a while
out.
to figure that out?
It took some kids, and it took some, the kids getting older.
Yeah.
And once the kids are young, it's like they don't know. They don't.
Yeah.
They're just seeing some blob up there.
Yeah.
But once they get older, they understand. And so, the way I can stay human is to release the inner weirdness at the proper time, and to make sure you leave time to release the inner weirdness. And that's what helps me, because without it, I'd snap.
Yeah.
I'd probably snap. Yeah.
Awesome.
County, right there. Inner
Floyd
County.
Floyd County.
That's great. So how can folks get a hold of you or find out what you're up to?
KellerWilliams.net, and then there you can click on the Facebook or the Twitter, and
Do you do Instagram?
I have wonderful people behind me that help with the Instagram and the Twitter, and occasionally I'll post on Facebook, and about once a month I'll take a couple days and answer everything that comes to me in the best of my ability. But KellerWilliams.net's way more information than you could ever need.
Awesome. Right on. Well, thank you for being here today, Keller. Thank you, studio audience. And we want to say thank you to Deschutes Beer for sponsoring the Stay Human podcast today. We love you, and remember to stay human. From Floyd, Virginia, we love you.
Streets are alive. The sound of boy bop.
Great. You guys were awesome. Kelly, you were awesome, man.
Hey everybody, this is Michael Franti here on the Stay Human podcast, and I've traveled all throughout the world, and I've been to many inspiring places, and one of my favorites is Bali. I fell in love with its people and nature the first time that I came here in 2007, and at that time I had a dream to build a place that was dedicated to music, soul, and wellness. And from that, the Soulshine Bali Hotel was born. It's my boutique hotel located in the heart of Bali, surrounded by beautiful rice fields and the most incredible sunsets that you might ever experience. We do over 50 retreats a year, or you can just come here and spend a night on your own. So follow us on Instagram at Soulshine Bali.